Welcome to Businessline's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hello and welcome to Businessline's State of the Economy podcast on real estate. Today we have with us Mr. Pankaj Narang, the director and co-founder of Blitzkrieg Real Estate Partners and Advisory. Welcome to Businessline podcast, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for inviting me.
So a quick word about Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg Real Estate Partners and Advisory are sales and marketing company, and they have been into the Indian real estate market for quite some time. They work with developers, buyers, clients, and in both sectors like commercial and household real estate. Once again, sir, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So at the onset, if I may ask, sir, what sort of demand do you see happening in the market today in Indian real estate? When I say real estate, at this point, referring only to housing sales.
So there is enormous demand in terms of the housing requirement. Primarily, these are driven because of the changing consumer preferences and the growing economy and their, earning capabilities. So if you look at what has happened in past 20 years, there is a significant growth in the GDP per capita. So even I'll just give you a very simple example. My driver, he has been with me for past few years. He recently bought a studio apartment. So the idea is when, I see that he hails from a very small town in, UP, and he shifted over here for better opportunities. So the demand is not only driven in, let's say, luxury space, it is being driven right at the bottom of the pyramid, wherein, the people with a home income of, let's say, per month of 25,000 rupees, they are also aspiring, to have their own home in the cities that they're working in. When I see, a person like that, I personally interact with my customers across the sites in couple of projects that we are doing in remote locations of Mumbai. We have interacted with auto rickshaw drivers. I mean, they earn 25, 30, 35,000 rupees. Their wife is working as a help, or someone is working as a security guard in some of the companies. Their aspirations. So I see there is a leap of shift that has happened in the consumer mind space in past 10 odd years, wherein they have started to believe in themselves, and that they can manage the EMIs. They can manage their earning potential, and of course they want to have a better lifestyle. So we have seen so many changes that have taken place in past so many years. The middle class is expanding. People who were not in the middle class, now they're coming up into the middle class. So the middle class is expanding, and hence, nowadays middle class wants to have a better lifestyle, better experience, and that's the reason primarily driver for them to buy home. And this is going to continue. I mean, we are a population of 145 crore people, and if you look at the numbers, 7 to 8 CR are the credit card users. The scope is huge, and I mean there is so much to to put my thought into it, that we are very bullish the Indian real estate sales, and it is backed by the numbers. One is, we just have a hope that, okay, fine, things are going to do better. This is backed by the data. So if you look at the data, the number of registrations that have happened in tier 1, tier 2 cities in last couple of years, every year, they're breaking the records of the previous year. So that is, the significant thing. So right from like a lower middle class person to a higher middle class or upper class person, everywhere there is change that has happened. The luxury housing has seen an enormous, surge of sales. And the sales have increased in every aspect of, the budget cycle, the budget. I mean, be it a 15, 20 lakh rupees, a studio in a metro city, to a, 20, 30 crores apartment on the higher end.
So which actually brings me to my second question, sir. This was actually which category of or which price bracket do you see generating the most demand? Affordable, mid-range, luxury, super luxury, studio apartments? Any particular price point that is a sweet spot, or is it a generic growth in demand across price points?
So the demand is across price point. If you look at the numbers that are happening in the under 20 or 30 lakh rupees, studio or apartment in the outskirts of Mumbai, the sales is exponential. The sales velocity is similar in across price point. So under 50 lakh apartment is moving, quite fast. Under 1 CR apartment is moving very fast. So and when we say fast, there has to be a yardstick that you measure. So when we talk about past 3, 4 years sales point, and then the numbers that are happening right now, that's where you see the change that, yes, I mean, let's say an under CR apartment in a micro market in Mumbai, there were, 20, 30 transactions that were happening in a month. Now they have increased to 130 transactions in a month in a very small micro market. This is the average transactions that are happening. So 130 to 150 transactions which are happening in a month in a micro market, that talks a lot. And I'm talking about all the price point. If you look at the luxury sales, the every month you will find a big transactions taking place. Some MD, some CEO buying into some premium project in Mumbai. So that is there because of people, because of the money that people are making, they're ready to invest. And housing and house has been the most emotional buying product of a one's lifetime. It's the space that they create around them, and that's why they are ready to invest a large sum of money that talks about who they are, what they believe in, and that this space represents them. So to maintain that particular lifestyle, it's also the lifestyle demand that they have. There's a huge surge in every price bracket that we can look at.
Yeah, so which actually the next question then what interests me is these people who are buying right now, is this, are they first time home buyers or upgrading from rental homes, or is there an upgrade happening, or is it that they're buying for investment purposes? What does your trend suggest, sir?
So there are two types of buyers currently which are there in the market. In fact, three types of buyer. Pardon. First is the first home buyer. Now, these are the buyers which are in the age bracket of 22 to 20, 22, 24 to 27, 28 age bracket. New job. And these are primarily buying one bed apartments. The second type of buyer is the person who already has a one bed apartment that he or she is currently staying in, or it's a parental property that they were staying in and it's an old building. What they want to do is they want to upgrade it. They want to upgrade it. So if they're staying in a one bed apartment, they want to upgrade it to two-bed apartment. And then if someone is staying in a two-bed apartment, they're moving into three-bed apartment. So there is a subsequent, shift that is happening in all kinds of product. I mean, be it a one-bed apartment or a two-bed apartment or a three-bed apartment. And primarily it is purely the first home buyers that are buying mostly the one bed apartments, and then we see the upgrade that is happening. And in Mumbai as a market, if you look at, there is a lot of redevelopments. I mean, the land is of scarce, so majority projects that are going on are for redevelopment purposes. So when a building goes through a redevelopment purposes, the developer pays 25%, 25 to 30% extra additional space to the family. However, then they say that, once they're growing, they need a bigger apartment. They tend up taking, a bigger space in the same project itself. So there is an upgrade also that we have seen in all the projects that we are doing. And of course, the first time buyers are already there. Yeah, so it is working in all the spaces. Investment, I would say the investment is not more in the residential space. I would say the investments are like a 25%. If you look at the investor who wants to put in money in residential project, is going to be 25%. Rest 75% are majorly the first home buyers or the buyers who are upgrading themselves, but that is for their consumption. It is not for an investment. So investment would be around 25% buyers that we've seen in our project. And the reason is the investors are more looking at opportunities which can provide them good rental yield. But if you look at the current market that we are living in, you don't get a good rental yield in residential segment. So primarily, that's why the investors, they tend to not put in the money in the residential space. In some projects, that what we have seen is at a very early stage, the investor might come in at the land stage, wherein the investor will come and say that, okay, fine, the land is there, and I would want to put in the money, and then they will, they can look for 10, 15%, 20% return over a period of 3 years. But in our experience, what we have seen is, the investors are generally a little staying away from the residential space. Their focus is more towards shifted towards the commercial side, the commercial space. They're getting into corporate parks, or PB sheds, or industrial parks, logistic park, warehousing, where they can have a higher rental yield. So the investors are not investing. It's residential is pure consumption market. It's consumer based market. People who are buying it for their end consumption.
Before I move into commercial real estate, I'll take one step back and ask a question on a comment you had made previously. You had spoken about buyer preferences changing. What are these changes that you see, and what are the trends, or what is the most striking feature of this changing consumer behavior pattern or demand, as you would like to put it?
It's the personal choices of human beings are changing. I mean, we want to, if you look at, it's not only the housing sales that is increasing, it is the way that we are consuming, products and consuming lifestyle that is playing a significant impact. I mean, I what we see is, if you look at the kind of sales that are happening, and the new businesses that are coming in terms of how we, in the textile sector, it is the consumption that is, it's a lifestyle, it's an aspiration. Uh, Again, I come back to, the old point is that, see, which is this generation that we're living in? We are, the generation is Gen Z. Okay. There was a generation of, who was born in 50s and 60s, our father. Their first impression of life was that they wanted to, they were working very hard, and there were less opportunities, and they wanted to save and, provide sufficiency to their family. However, post that, what has happened is that the generation that came after that, they saw that our parents have done, we have a, if nothing, we have a head on our roof. Okay. So what they want to do is they want to go out, and let's say what was a scarcity in their, upbringing years, they want to achieve it, because the scenario is there are so many opportunities that, that resonate with them. So what is happening is that they are confident, and they are taking strides in building a better lifestyle now. So that is where the consumer preferences are changing. If we look at, the travel that, this generation is doing, that was unheard of in previous generation. So it is the economic boom and economic output, and the opportunities, the earning opportunities that people are getting, that is making them demand more. Now, I'll just give you a very simple example. Yes, yesterday only, at one of our project invest in suburbs, a customer had come in, and he said that I wanted to buy a two bed, but due to some financial constraints, he said, okay, fine, I will, I'll buy a one bed. But then he went home, and he said that I'll come back, and I'll get the check and all. And the moment he went back home, he spoke to his wife, and they both said, no, we have to buy a two bed. We'll wait for 2 months, but we'll buy a two bed. We have April coming in, our salaries will increase, we can take more loan, and then we will buy it for one time, but we'll buy a two bed. So that is, the aspirations of a family, that I mean, they're clear, and they have confidence within themselves that yes, they can pull this through. So these are the, these things that we see, which is the changing in the consumer buying behavior, is what we can, currently keep on, vetting, that we see, and it gives us a lot of confidence that the future of Indian real estate is amazing.
Right. So I'll just quickly jump to the commercial real estate part of the discussion now. So again, what is the scenario there? Which category is driving commercial real estate, office space, retail, warehousing, industrial, logistics park? How do you see that space playing out now?
Warehousing is going to be a significant boom. It is already there. If you look at the belts outside Mumbai, places like Bhiwandi, since again, everything is linked to the consumer preferences and consumer behavior that is playing out into the entire market. Now we are becoming, there is a quick delivery thing that is happening. We want to consume things fast. We don't want to go to our local shop and buy. There is Swiggy, there is Zomato. I mean, Flipkart also wants to come into quick delivery thing. So what we're seeing is, and then the kind of online transactions and online products that we are buying. So the warehousing is going to be there. That is there, and it is not only for Mumbai. I will talk about. I have friends who are living in tier two, tier three city. They are investing big time in warehousing because they are getting a lot of inquiries from big companies that they want to put in the warehouses in tier 2 tier 3 cities so that the consumptions can be met. So warehousing is going to be is going to be a very successful sector. Coming to the commercial space, if you look at recently, I was studying yesterday only I was studying. There is an increase of 27% in terms of the office, the shared office space. So likes of WeWork and all. I mean, if you look at in our country, I mean, we are the only country which is driving this particular space demand. Last week itself, I was studying the situation which is happening in in US. If you look at city like San Francisco, there is entire downtown has become empty. And you have all JLL CBREs of the world who are put in the posters there, and they want, they're looking forward for tenants or buyers. And WeWork is, calling for bankruptcy. There are big companies who are calling for bankruptcy, but only in this country is, there is a demand that is continuously growing. So that talks about, the economic boom that is happening and people are making money, and that's how. So the shared working space it's going to grow. What another significant thing that I've seen in the commercial space that is coming in is for MSME and SME sector, wherein the developers, what they're doing is they're looking forward for small office spaces. Small office spaces in the range of 80 to 1.5 cr. There are a lot of consumption that is happening in this particular price space for an office of 80 lakhs to 1.5 cr, because these SMEs, the service based business, they're in. And then the model is like this: they're selling it to the investor is leasing out to the service industries, and the service industries are using this. So this is a big thing that we've seen, that there are a lot of products which are being launched in 70 to 1.5 cr to 2 cr range in the commercial space, and they have huge acceptability and huge absorption that is happening at that level. In terms of the retail, the again the aspirations and the way we are consuming life. I mean, if you look at who would have heard of in Bombay we'll have a Geo World Drive or a Geo World Plaza, wherein the top notch brands of the world will be dying to open a space in the country. Again, that is because of the preferences. I can back it up with the example. So I interact with a lot of people who are into different spheres of life. I was interacting with one of the influencer, and then they are making on an average 6 to 10 lakh rupees doing the influencer program for the products and services. And what they do of that particular money, they are 22, 23, 24-year old, and they like to spend it out on travel. They want to spend it on luxury products. So if you look at the retail space, I have not seen in Mumbai any mall which will have an empty retail space available, or a store is shut because of whatever reasons. The malls are not able to fill that particular thing. So the retail is on a boom, and the footfalls are amazing. People are buying, and then retail is going to sustain this particular growth. And yeah.
And then my last question, as we head for closure of the podcast, is again the one again is simply on this concept of investors. So these investors who are coming in, which you spoke about earlier, what category of projects are they looking at? Are they keen for retail projects or warehousing? Where is it that they're investing their money? Where do they see grow?
So investors are primarily looking at anything that gives them, a stable return of 7 to 8% rental yield. That is what they are looking at. So, like I said, residential is not going to provide this kind of rental yield in any of the, major metro cities. I will, just take 2 minutes to share my thoughts on the investor thing. Is that there is only one residential real estate market which I've seen a lot of growth post COVID is Goa, wherein a lot of investors have put in the money, and especially North Indian investors, who and where the money came from is they had a sale of property, they sold their property, they parked their particular money. Let's say they sold around a 15 crore or 20 crore, property in Delhi, parked half of the money in Gurgaon, took an apartment over 3-4 BHK in Gurgaon, and the balance money they started putting in Goa. And then Goa residential market, I would say it's a holiday market, wherein there are a lot of companies which are giving them 7 to 8% to 10% returns on their particular investment. So holiday homes, holiday rental, villa rental is there. That's why if you look at, there are big players who are getting into this thing. I mean, we never heard Taj to get into a villa stay or rental stay space, but they launched a brand called Ama Stays. So this space, and we are seeing this multiple new companies coming into this particular space. Second thing, what we see is that warehousing is again an uptick, is one of the primary driver for the investors to invest their money. So warehousing, logistics, industrial parks, where they can get a fixed return on their particular investment. Anything less than 7% is what not they look at. So these are the places the and then small, like I said, the very sweet spot that has come up is again, for it is not for a big investor, but like someone who's making a decent amount of money, who has a home and still has money to buy an office space. So we see a lot of absorption which has happened in the space of 70 to 80 lakhs, wherein you get a 300 to 400 square feet of office space to 2 CR. There we are seeing a lot of projects being launched and absorbed, and where they're getting good rental. Let's say a 1 CR thing, they're getting a 7 to 8% rental. They invest 1 CR and they get 7 to 8% rental, and of course the prices of the property are going to get increased. So investors are being very wise in what they want to do. And recently, I am yet to go through the entire thing. The new REIT for a smaller projects is what they have introduced. The SEBI has introduced. I have to go through the entire gadget that has come to me, wherein there is a new opportunity wherein you can have a smaller pool of REIT, and you can start putting in different projects. So earlier there was a large REIT format, there's a small REIT format. So even the government is also understanding how to make real estate more exciting for a regular consumer. I mean, you don't necessarily to have 1 CR or 2 CR. If you want to invest, you can invest as low as 5 CR or 10 CR, like a fractional ownership. So those rules are also have just come out. So yeah, so these are the new trends, and I see there are a lot of disruption that is going to take place in this particular space. But because of, again, the consumers are changing the entire game. I mean, if you look at the consumer and you just do the reverse engineering, you can do a lot of product. I again, want to specify this thing is that, I mean, there needs to be a big disruption that needs to happen in one space, which is the housing loan. If you go look into the market, if you go to these common shops, you see these electronic shops wherein they have loan pe phone, Aadhaar card lao, or and phone lekar jao. So the idea is that we see that there is going to be a big disruption that is going to happen in the the home loan space, making it the customer likes the product, they understand the product, but then to make them buy that particular product, we see that there is going to be disruption that will happen in coming times, where it will become more easier for them to adopt that particular product or absorb that particular product, and that will give a very significant push into the entire sales of real estate.
That was most of my questions. Thank you for being on the show, sir. Again, and once again, sir, lovely having you talk to you on the podcast on the trends and patterns that we see.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank
and thank you, Businessline, for having me here. It's an absolute honor to be talking to to industry people like you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.